I think the worst part of filming for me is always being like, hi guys, because I overthink it so much. I am on like my fourth like retape of this intro. We're just gonna go right into it. I wanted to come on here and talk about what I've read recently, mainly what I read in May, because we're in the middle of June, but this last like week and a half has just been so awful for me. I am currently reading First Time Caller. I started First Time Caller 2 weeks ago, and I'm 100 pages in because I've been so busy. Also, I said in my last video that I am like a big fantasy reader, and I like romance plot lines, but just strictly romance I am very picky about, and I tend to only read what's very popular because since I'm not a romance reader, I get most of my recommendations off of the internet, right? And I don't want to say that I dislike them. I think that they're fun, but I do kind of find myself getting a little bit bored sometimes. And I wouldn't say that First Time Caller has been boring for me, but I am kind of like, okay, it's cozy, right? Like that's what, it's cozy. There's not too much happening. I am only 100 pages in. I think I'm like 109 pages in. So I'm not gonna give up. I don't DNF. That's kind of a lie. I don't DNF often. I did DNF The Wind Weaver. That came in my Fairy Loot April Romantasy box. She's okay. I'm a little sick of elemental magic. And I won't get into it. A lot of people really liked it though. So if you want to give it a try, go ahead. A lot of people really liked it. I was kind of the odd one out with disliking it. But into what I have read recently, I have a few things. What do I have? I have some Greek mythology retellings. I have a few new releases. And I have a like horror manga. What do I want to start out with? Maybe just like the elephant in the room. First things first, The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. Here's the thing about Rachel Gillig and me. I love her just as much as everyone else loves her. This woman could write like a short story half-assed on the back of like a dirty napkin, and I would be like, I love her. I love that all three of her books are very like gothic fantasy. I also like the way that she writes romance. I said like I like romance plot lines, and what I think I love so much is like when it's steamy. I can do spice. I'm a good time, okay? I can handle spice. But I like when it's steamy. I like the yearning of it all, right? And I think that Rachel writes romance very well. It's like exactly what I need. The romance in this was great. I wouldn't call it a romantasy. It's very much just, I think, a fantasy that has a romance plotline in it. But I love the pacing of it. The best part of this book was the gargoyle. Absolutely incredible and very creative. I don't really have much that I could compare this to, and I think that that is why I like it so much. There has been so many new releases, and I feel like especially in fantasy and romantasy, I mean, there's only so many tropes and so many storylines. What's that saying where it's like there's only like 7 original stories in the world or something like that? You know, you take inspiration from everywhere, but it's really refreshing to like read something and be like, oh, never seen anything like that before. So 10 out of 10, just like everybody else has been saying. It's incredible, and I think it deserves all the hype that I got. Next, this one's a little bit out of my comfort zone. This one's for the culture, right? I have had this sitting on my Barnes & Noble wish list for, oh my god, years, like maybe 3 years, and I'm very late to this, okay? She's Everywhere. Hot Topic, Drop Dead collab, the Sanrio collab, which I'm pretty sure was a Japan exclusive. And I got a gift card, and I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and purchase her. This edition was $30, and it is out of my comfort zone. I don't read a lot of horror, and I'm not into gore. It's not really my thing. But this is just like such a staple. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, you've heard about it. You can't help but hear about it. You can't help but see it. And I gave it like a 3 out of 5. Understand her though. Like, I understand the hype. I understand why everyone loves it. She's hot. She's murdering people. She's murdering boys. She's coming out of the fucking carpet. She's Megan Fox. She is early 2000s Megan Fox, right? So, love her. Would I get the other ones? I don't know. Like, here's my thing. If it's popular, I'll read it. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, like, everyone's talking about it, I don't want to do it. I'm like, no, I want to know why you're talking about it. I'll read it. So maybe I will. Never say never. Never say never. But it wouldn't be something where I'm like, I have to get my hands on that. Right? So it is what it is. Next, you guys. This one is a little crazy. She is a little crazy. This is the Black Jewels trilogy by Anne Bishop. This is all 3 books combined into one. I got this from Barnes & Noble online. I definitely got like one of the last ones on their shelves or something because she came beat to hell and back. This is an older series. It came out in the 90s. I want to say the first one came out in 97, I believe. I wasn't even born yet. I was born in 99. The reason that I even grabbed this and got my hands on this was because a few years ago when Silver Flames came out, everyone on Reddit, well, not everyone on Reddit, but it was a big talking point. A lot of people were like, if you love ACOTAR or you're just like into ACOTAR, you really need to read the Black Jewels trilogy because this is the blueprint. And I was expecting some similarities. I don't know how publishing works. I don't know how any of it works. I'm not sure what you're allowed to take and use. But when I tell you that there is so much of ACOTAR like in this book and you can see the direct like inspiration, it's kind of crazy. I read the first 2 books that are in this and I skimmed the 3rd because I was really into it in a few ways. It does have a lot of shock factor in it. I will say that. This is a book where you can tell that it was meant to be taboo back in the day. If you read the Goodreads reviews for this from like a decade ago or more, there's a lot of people in there being like, what was that? So I didn't really know what I was walking into, but it is taboo almost off the bat. There is a big plot line in here.
I'm Chris Hansen.
It's like questionable and it may make some people very uncomfortable. I know that I was reading it and I was like, okay girl. Here's what I can compare it to. If you're familiar with Twilight, the Jacob and Renesmee thing. Like, that's the modern day. That would be the best way to explain it. You'll see this on every review. People are gonna be like, this is really dark. Like, if you aren't good with like torture or just kind of like out of pocket, like I said, taboo things, like you get bothered very easily, especially when it comes to like incest, age gaps, this might definitely be a tough read for you. What's really interesting that I found about this though is that there is sex in this book. There is, and there's sex slaves in this book, but it is so fade into black and very like, it's almost like a suggestion that it's happening. It'll be like, oh, you know, But the torture, you guys, it'll last like 4 pages. There's this build up. I think it's either at the end of the second book or the beginning of the third book, where these like love interests finally have sex, and it is just so like Gone with the Wind. But I am not kidding when I tell you that I read 3 pages of a man getting his genitals cut off. And I'll give her this, as like crazy as it was, and very creative, considering that Sarah J Maas like pulled from this. ACOTAR is really like one of the few things that I could compare this to. I was reading this and I was like, how'd you come up with this? Like, I don't know. I did skim the third book. I found myself getting a little bit bored. It drags. I can't lie. You'll have moments where it's like, whoa, and then it's kind of just like stagnant at some points. I rated it, I think I gave it 3 stars for the whole thing. It is what it is. I mean, I went into it just to see what people are talking about. So I do have 2 Viking romances on my recent reads. And here's the thing. I kind of stay away from Viking romance because I don't like beards. It's just like not my thing. However, last year A Fate Inked in Blood came out. That's the title, right? A Fate Inked in Blood. Yeah, had to check my shelf. And I got it because a lot of people in my book club were talking about it, my old book club, and they were like, this is amazing. I grabbed it, ate it up, loved it. So when this came out, I went to the store, picked her up, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a little slow in the beginning for me. I was kind of very confused because I loved the first one. I flew through it. But this was just kind of for me, and I found myself being very confused by that. I was like, what is happening? Because I love Danielle's writing. It's just the first third, and then you get like to a point where you're like, whoa. And then it picks up and it's phenomenal. So I gave it 4 stars because of that. For the first like third of the book, I was like, come the hell on, right? But this book gets so crazy, and I don't know much about like Norse mythology, so I can't say how accurate it is to that. I do imagine though, if Danielle is going to write about Vikings, she does some research. So I'm gonna say maybe it's accurate. The thing about this book, this series is so like men, right? Like in the first book, you're just like this fucking guy. And then in this book, you're like this fucking guy, but it's a completely different guy. This is one of these books, it's like The Night and the Moth, where I'm sure that like so many people have read this. I don't need to really say much about it, but love her. And funny enough, right after I finished this, my May Fairy Loop book came in. I have the Romantasy box, I don't have the adult box. This bad boy, Broken Souls and Bones. The design for this got leaked, I want to say 2 months ago, and a lot of people were like, girl, I am skipping that. I don't skip. I like to read anything. I'll give it a whirl, and I gave her a whirl, but on all levels except physical.
On all levels except physical, I am a wolf.
She is a wolf. You think if I clip that in, I'll get in trouble? I'll try it. But I opened this. I was like, what the hell are we working with? They do come with cards where they like explain what all's happening. But I was like, oh my god, Vikings. Viking romance after Viking romance, baby. Okay. And you know what the best part about this one is? No beard. That's what the hell I'm talking about. Accurate historically, probably not. but that's okay. I mean, there's magic. I have likes and I have dislikes about this book. I did write a good review for this on Goodreads. I think what I didn't like about it is the card that it came with made it sound like this was going to be the enemies to lovers book, and that this man is like the villain, okay? Right? There was some tension, but I'll keep it real with you. They were feeling each other like from the jump. They were like, oh, why do I feel this connection with her? And I'm like, oh, brother, right? I hate her. Why do I care? Right. And whenever I was reading this, there is a plot twist in it. You can kind of see it coming from like a mile away. I felt like there was a very close similarity to this and the plot twist in A Fate Inked in Blood. Now, mind you, is A Fate Inked in Blood the first one to ever do it? No, it's not. And so because of that, it didn't ruin the story for me, but it was kind of enough to make me like raise my eyebrow, because I'm like, come on. Like, you're both Viking romances, right? Like, give me a little something else. But I digress. I'll still read the second one. Things that I loved about this: the magic system. I said at the beginning of the video, I'm so sick of elemental magic.
Hello, Zuko here.
I'm over it. Why does every male main character fuck with fire? I'm so like, help me, I can't. So this was a nice break, because this magic system is so cool. I really love it. Like, every bad thing I said about this book, the magic system makes up for it. I can't lie. So the magic system is, take a shot every time I say that, okay? It's centered around blood, bones, and the soul. And it makes for some pretty grotesque situations. The ability to just break somebody's entire body, the ability to make weapons out of bones, to find like dead souls. It makes for a very eerie situation, which almost gives it a gothic vibe. And I love anything that's gothic. I like when it's creepy. The way, another Twilight reference, you know in the movies, especially the first one, how it has that like blue filter on it to make it feel like moody, get you in the vibe, right? This feels like there is always like fog. Like, there is just a gray filter over it to make everything just feel so like depressing. And I love that. We will see how the second one goes. I'm hoping for the best. This is also the first book I've ever read by LJ Andrews. However, I believe I saw that her and Allie Hazelwood are friends. I believe. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I can't believe I've never heard of her before. Also, speaking of Allie Hazelwood, she got ran off the internet by Hunger Games fans like 2 days ago. That was kind of crazy. Another twofer. This is, of course, Greek mythology retellings by Jennifer Saint. On my last video, I was in the process of reading this, and we will get to her. But I want to talk about Ariadne. Again, I talked about it in my last video. I'm going to talk about it again. I love this damn book. The way that people love the Song of Achilles, and I love the Song of Achilles, it's definitely up there with like one of my favorite books of all time. This has the exact same effect on me, about women and what it is like to be a woman and what it means to pay for a man's mistakes even when it isn't your fault. It isn't your fault, but because you love him, because you are related to him, you have to pay for his mistakes. And this book is just gut punch after gut punch, and it'll be going great, and then all of a sudden things are not great anymore. It is obviously about Ariadne, but it also talks about her mother and her pregnancy with the Minotaur and how Ariadne's family dealt with that. And then also her sister, Phaedra or Phaedra. I've heard it pronounced both ways depending on where in the world someone is from. But her sister's story is also in here. And again, gut punch after gut punch. The ending of this book killed me. I recommend it, of course. I think that it is so well written and is such an incredible story. But the ending will kill you, especially if you are a mother. I think that that is what really did it for me. So after I read this book, I got very curious because I like to read reviews, good and bad. I like to read reviews of people that disagree with me, people that like the same things as me. I just like to see what people are saying. And on Goodreads, I was seeing a lot of people be like, I don't like feminist retellings. I feel like they're never accurate. And so I got very curious and I was like, well, how accurate is it, right? Like, how accurate is Jennifer Saint's writings? Because she only does retellings of mythology. And I can't remember this woman's name. I'll put her video in the description and I'll also put a picture right here. But I found a YouTube video where this woman who studies classical literature and mythology talks about, hey, how accurate is this? And she gave it a really glowing review for being a feminist retelling, but still staying true to the story. And she went pretty in depth into the research that Jennifer Saint does. I guess she's done a few interviews with her. And so when it got the seal of approval, I was like, you know what, Jennifer? What the hell else are we working with? And I went ahead and I bought Atalanta. I haven't read Electra and I haven't read Hera. They are on my, they're in my shopping cart, but I have to finish my summer TBR. I can't do a whole bunch of books that I have unfinished. I do my little stack, I read them, and then we do a book haul, right? But I did pick up Atalanta for my summer TBR. I flew through this one very quickly also. Here's the thing. These are two very different women. And I think because I saw so much of myself in Ariadne, I ended up loving this one more. This is still incredibly well written. I didn't know Atalanta's story. It is so interesting, so intriguing. However, she lives a completely different life than Ariadne. She was raised in the wilderness by Artemis and her nymphs, and her goal in life is to make a name for herself, to be the greatest, to prove herself, to prove that she is just as worthy and as great as any man that she stands next to. And it is very beautiful. I can't say enough great things about Jennifer. I will be picking up anything else she writes. Love her. She's becoming one of my favorite authors. My favorite authors are Samantha Shannon and Carissa Broadbent, but I think I'm gonna add Jennifer Saint to that list for sure. And that is my recently read. I did want to say, if you have any recommendations, especially romance recommendations, on my TBR I do have the new Allie Hazelwood book. I'm trying to get into romance. I need a little something, you know? I can do dark romance. I said I'm a good time. I swear I'm a good time. Or if you have anything that is also high fantasy, I love a lot of world building. I'll take any recommendations. I'll read anything. But yeah, I think next video, Fairy Loot unboxing, maybe. I also have some other ideas. We will see. Anyways, as always, thank you so much for listening to me talk. It means the world to me. Okay? I will see you next time.